My name's Kevin DeVore. I'm a co-worker of Bob's at Air Evac EMS. And first I want to thank Sue and Bob and his family for allowing me to speak about my friend. First, Bob, I miss him. I miss Bob's wit and wisdom. I know he's in a better place now, but he left us with a lot of memories, and I appreciate that. I miss his opinion, his point of view. Bob was a pretty worldly guy, and we talked not only about aviation, but the news. And we had 30 minutes or so every morning or every evening when we turned over when we were on shift. And so a chance to not only talk about business, but some other events. We had morning coffee, and then we went about our different ways.
Bob will be missed. I know every single one of us, I've never heard anyone question his safety. He was a very safe pilot. And we knew when we were getting that aircraft and we were in good hands.
Bob was a Renaissance man. I believe we've talked about that a lot. I don't think Bob left any part of life undiscovered. He did it all. Whether you could sit down and talk with Bob about just any book, even if it was just some obscure book or show, Bob knew about it. He was great to have a conversation with. He was great to have coffee with. He liked strong coffee. So we both enjoyed having coffee, and we might talk about some book like Catch-22, in the movie, and he would automatically send one to us on our email, if he thought it was a good book or if we showed any interest in it, and I'm going to miss getting my email inbox filled up with different books that Bob had read before and stories that Bob had.
All right, the Denny's story. So I guess it was pretty quick after I transferred to this base, me and Bob and Andrew Carafa, we went for a patient transfer out at Hill Country there at Fredericksburg. Anyway, we go across to Denny's, and this Denny's is, we get in there, it's pretty gross. I didn't really know Bob that well at the time, and he first thing he orders was an iced tea and a fly swatter. He asked the guy for a fly swatter, and I thought, oh, he's just joking, but the crazy thing was, the guy brought him a damn fly swatter. He brought him a fly swatter, and we sat there for about 3 or 4 hours. We must have killed 20 or 30 flies in that place. And we're sitting there in our flight suits all around in a booth, and like you'll kind of see him kind of stalk one of them, and then as the time came, close out on that fly, bam, just everyone's looking like, these Air Evac people over here killing flies.
First time I met Bob, I kind of figured it out that he was a unique individual. Every time I'd pull into the base, I always would see this individual in a chair with a table and all that he would pull out from his minivan, and he would be target practicing in the parking lot out here at the base, and with his high-powered pellet gun. And for people that don't know weapons, this pellet gun is as powerful as a 22 caliber gun. And so I guess I asked him one day, and he said, I like to shoot competition style pellet guns. And I'm like, okay. And that's the first time I've ever experienced a pilot at a base that I've worked at that would sit out in the parking lot and target practice.
Bob is somebody that I would not want to play Scrabble against. He had an exponential vocabulary, and a lot of times he would come into work and I'd have to go find a dictionary to try to figure out what he was saying. It always felt like that he just had a new word or something, and so it was kind of a goal of mine. Whenever he used a word I didn't know, I would go look it up, figure out what he was talking about, and then try to use it in a sentence, which wasn't always easy because some of the words he knew was didn't really have a lot of practical use, I guess. So, but that was something neat about Bob, and I really enjoyed working with him. I'm really going to miss Bob.
But I flew news for quite a while, and the thing that impressed me a lot about Bob is he was the antithesis of the typical news person, because I worked with a lot of pompous asses Bob was exactly the opposite. I knew him for a long time before I even knew he had done news. Yeah, I thought that was very impressive. And even though I didn't know Bob well from communicating directly with him, I knew a little bit about Bob just by the books he left laying around. He and I are both pretty avid readers, and he would read really different stuff, you know. In fact, he got me to read some of the classics that I don't think I ever would have picked up had it not been for him. So, yeah, I'm gonna miss him.
Everyone at the base didn't know that he was a news anchorman initially. No. I walked in, I didn't know until someone said, "Oh yeah, he was on the news." And then of course, like you said, you look into it, and then all of a sudden you say, "Wow, this is a guy that had a career before
Right.
aviation." And then you realize how big it is once you start seeing the awards he's won and just his history. But it was just funny because we're sitting around one day and they're like, "Oh, he was an anchorman." I'm like, "No, he wasn't." And then you start listening, okay, yeah, I can hear it in the voice.
Shannon, Avery, and Ryan, you have a wonderful father. Bob walked boldly through life. He wasn't afraid to try something new. He excelled at everything he did when he put his mind to it. He had a passion for aviation. He really loved you guys. He was focused on you.
You know, a lot of people talk about him being reserved, but if you asked Bob a question or if you talked to Bob about it, he was full of these wonderful stories, you know, and just this magnificent life that he lived. And I don't think Bob Salter will ever. You know, there's a lot of people that when we go to our grave, we might have to look back and say, well, wish we'd have done this or wish we could have done that. And Bob Salter's not going to be one of those people.
You are exactly correct.
Well, thank you again. And I know I'm going to see my friend again. I'm looking forward to it. But right now, I know he's up there chasing clouds, doing what he loves best. Thanks.